Every seasoned gardener knows that earthworms are the lifeblood of healthy soil. They aerate, enrich, and transform lifeless dirt into living, breathing earth. Yet there's one powerful ancient trick that has quietly slipped out of modern gardening knowledge. A simple kitchen leftover that can turn barren soil into a worm paradise. Believe it or not, that forgotten secret is crushed rice. When used correctly, crushed rice can multiply earthworms at incredible speed and charge your soil with natural nutrients that chemical fertilizers can't match. Let's uncover this lost method that's now making a comeback among regenerative gardeners worldwide. At first glance, crushed rice might seem too ordinary to make a difference, but its natural composition makes it one of the most effective, worm-friendly soil boosters you can use. Crushed rice is rich in carbohydrates and trace minerals that act as a steady food source for the microscopic bacteria and fungi living underground. These microbes break down the rice, and as they multiply, earthworms rush in to feed on them. The result? A living chain reaction that transforms your soil into a biological engine. Worms digest the microbe-rich material and leave behind castings that are packed with nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and beneficial enzymes. Within weeks, compacted, tired soil becomes crumbly, soft, and teeming with life. This microbial feast sets off a rapid increase in worm population, effectively doubling their numbers in a short span of time. To use crushed rice effectively, start with 1 cup of uncooked white rice. Rinse it briefly to remove excess starch, then spread it out to dry for a few hours. Once dry, crush it coarsely using a mortar and pestle or a grinder. Avoid turning it into fine powder. The small broken granules release nutrients slowly and prevent souring in the soil. Next, you'll create a nutrient-boosting fermentation liquid. Add 1 cup of crushed rice to 2 liters of clean, chlorine-free water in a container. Cover it loosely with a cloth or lid that allows airflow, and let it sit in a warm spot for 24 to 48 hours. During this time, beneficial bacteria begin to grow and multiply, creating a mild fermented liquid that's irresistible to worms and soil microbes alike. When it starts to develop a slightly sour, sweet aroma, strain the liquid and dilute it further by adding 3 more liters of water. This dilution creates a perfectly balanced microbial tonic safe for direct soil application. Now it's time to apply this living elixir. Pour or sprinkle the diluted crushed rice solution evenly over the soil, especially around plant roots and compost zones where worms are most active. Do this in the evening or early morning when the soil is cool and moist. Worms will naturally come closer to the surface to feed on the microbial film and decaying rice particles that form after application. Repeat this treatment once every 2 weeks during the growing season. Within 1 month, you'll notice your soil becoming darker, looser, and filled with worm tunnels. The population will start to boom, sometimes doubling within 30 to 40 days, depending on your soil health and moisture levels. The crushed rice acts as both a food source and a microbial magnet, triggering the perfect breeding conditions underground. For gardeners who prefer a dry amendment, crushed rice can also be mixed directly into compost or garden beds. Mix 1 cup of crushed rice per square meter of soil and blend it into the top 2 or 3 inches. Water well afterward to activate microbial activity. As it decomposes, the rice gradually releases nutrients and stimulates biological life. This is particularly useful for sandy soils that drain too fast or clay soils that tend to compact. In compost piles, adding crushed rice accelerates decomposition. The starch content energizes bacteria, generating heat and faster breakdown of organic matter. If your compost is slow or cold, sprinkle a handful of crushed rice every week and keep it moist. It will wake up the pile in days. What makes crushed rice so effective is the symbiotic relationship between microbes and worms. When rice ferments or decomposes, it feeds bacteria that, in turn, become the worm's favorite meal. This abundance of microbial food encourages worms to reproduce more frequently. A healthy, well-fed worm can lay cocoons containing multiple young every few weeks. With continuous microbial food from crushed rice, The cycle never stops. Worms thrive, multiply, and sustain their population naturally. Additionally, crushed rice promotes a slightly acidic microenvironment that helps unlock nutrients like phosphorus and iron, making them more available to plants. It also enhances the soil's ability to retain moisture, creating the perfect habitat for worms to remain active even in dry spells. To supercharge results, combine the crushed rice method with natural organic matter like dried leaves, banana peels, or grass clippings. These materials act as bedding for worms and keep the soil structure loose. The worms will move through this organic layer, feeding on microbes and plant residues, and leaving behind nutrient-rich castings. The crushed rice essentially acts as the ignition spark, starting the microbial process, while the organic matter becomes the long-term fuel source. Together, they create an ongoing cycle of fertility that requires no chemicals or expensive fertilizers. Within a few weeks of consistent use, gardeners often report dramatic improvements. The soil becomes soft and spongy, roots spread faster, and moisture retention increases. You'll begin to see small worm castings on the surface, tiny dark granules that signal your underground ecosystem is thriving. Plants grown in this soil often exhibit stronger growth, deeper green leaves, and better resistance to drought or disease. This method is especially valuable for gardeners recovering depleted or compacted soil. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that feed plants directly but ignore the soil life, the crushed rice trick rebuilds fertility from the ground up, literally. In many traditional farming communities, rice was more than food. It was a soil reviver. Farmers noticed that leftover rice water or crushed rice waste made their fields richer and plants healthier. Over time, as industrial fertilizers took over, these simple methods faded from memory. But today, regenerative gardeners are rediscovering this wisdom and proving that nature's simplest solutions often outperform chemical ones. Once you've established a thriving worm population with the crushed rice trick, maintenance is easy. Keep your soil moist, mulch generously, and feed a small dose of crushed rice liquid every few weeks. You'll maintain a healthy, self-sustaining cycle of fertility that requires minimal input and zero waste. The worms will continue to aerate, fertilize, and rejuvenate your garden naturally, turning it into a living ecosystem. If you've been struggling with lifeless soil or slow compost, don't overlook this forgotten gem. The crushed rice trick isn't just a worm booster. It's a complete soil revival system that restores life, fertility, and balance. It's simple, affordable, and astonishingly effective.